Hello there and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Florentin and this will be episode number 2 of my brand new series called Music Drive. Now, I started this series just a couple of days ago, and this is where I'll stop 2 or 3 times a week if I can, pick some random music topic and just briefly talk about it while I'm driving. Now, in my first video in the series, I wasn't actually driving. I was actually parked on the side of the road, and I'll place the link of that video here if you want to take a look. And today I am driving, but I'm not using the clip-on microphone that I used last time because I'm curious to compare the videos and see how my camera and microphones, the built-in and the clip-on, how they behave while I'm driving with all the background noises and such. So anyways, the topic for today, just quickly, is actually a question, and the question is, what are some pros and cons for playing different musical instruments at the same time? What are some pros and cons for practicing and playing and learning more than one musical instrument at once? Now, keep in mind that these answers are my own. They're based on my own experience and my own knowledge on the subject. So it's possible that some of my listeners might disagree with me, and that's totally fine, because again, these are just my own answers based on my own experience and knowledge on the subject. So what are some pros and cons for playing and learning and practicing more than one musical instrument at once? The first benefit that I could think of is simply more fun. You play more instruments, you have more fun. It's as simple as that. So if you play the clarinet, you're certainly having lots of fun, but if you also play the violin, for example, now you're having even more fun. I know that's kind of a silly way to put it, but it's just true. A second benefit that I could think of for playing more than one instrument is that you get more repertoire. Now, I'm a classical guitarist, and for those of you that watch my channel on a regular basis, you'll know that that's my main instrument. So there's a lot of repertoire written for the classical guitar, but I'm also a pianist. So those of you who play the piano will know that there's a whole lot of repertoire written for the piano. And when you combine the two sets of repertoire, now you have lots of repertoire to play. So if you play more than one instrument, you'll simply have more repertoire to play. A third benefit that I could think of for playing more than one musical instrument is more performance opportunities. Let's say that you play the flute. So now you can perform as a soloist, you can play as part of a marching band, maybe a wind symphony, maybe even symphonic orchestra. So that's great. But let's say that you also play the piano. So when you do that, now you have a lot more performance opportunities, not just by yourself, but also with other musicians, because now you can play more, have more performances as a pianist, as a solo pianist, as an accompanist. If you think about it, there's so much music that you can play live as an accompanist. And also, I gotta change lanes here. Also, you can play orchestral piano reduction scores, which are great to play. Now, they're difficult to play, but they're lots of fun to play. So more instruments, more fun. More instruments, more repertoire. More instruments, more performance opportunities. Now, what would be some disadvantages for playing more than one instrument? Because I think there are some of those as well. The most obvious that I could think of was time limitations. Now, if you're like me and if you like to practice a lot of hours in a row on the same instrument, then you'll eventually run into the same kind of problem that I do, which is running out of time, because there's only so many hours in each day. So let's say that you play 3 different instruments, you won't be able to practice for 10 hours. I mean, I guess you could, but not only will your fingers hurt, but you'll have to do other things, because I'm assuming that most of you have obligations like I do, like a family, a spouse, children, a job, school, maybe all kinds of obligations, friends. So you'll eventually, what'll happen as a natural consequence, you'll either end up playing all of your instruments in smaller, shorter amounts of time, or you'll play one instrument for longer periods of time and then the others will just suffer, will just get less time throughout the week or throughout the month. So that could be one disadvantage for playing more than one instrument. And for more serious musicians, I guess, another disadvantage would be that if you try to build a career as a, let's say, as a concert pianist, as a serious and as a recognized concert pianist, but if you also work on a career as a trombone player at the same time, your audience just won't take you seriously. Now, there's nothing wrong with the trombone or the piano, but just those two instruments are so different from each other that it's very likely that your audiences will simply not take you seriously. Now, there are times when you could play different instruments and get away with it or be taken seriously or even appreciated. For example, let's say that you play the saxophone, but you also play the clarinet and the flute. Now, that's very acceptable because those instruments are very similar. Now, I probably shouldn't use the word acceptable because, no musician really needs to be acceptable to anyone, including their audiences. I mean, you play what you want to play, yes, absolutely. But if your instrument combination in your career development is too unusual, and if the instruments are so different from each other, I think that at some point your audience or your audiences might simply not take you seriously. Okay, so almost like a conflict of interests. Well, anyways, those are some of the answers. I'm gonna change lanes here. Those are some of the answers I could think of. If you have any answers to this question, or if you agree or disagree with what I just said, feel free to write those comments in the comment section below. Also, if you want to suggest other topics for my Music Drive videos that I plan to do 2 or 3 times a week, if I can, please feel free to make suggestions at the bottom. Like, you can ask me a question or anything like that. So feel free to do that. If you're not subscribed to my channel, I encourage you to take a minute to do so. You can also click that bell next to the subscribe button, and that way you won't miss any of my uploads, especially now that I'm not really uploading on a on a regular basis because my schedule is very sporadic for a while. So go ahead and do that if you want. Well, thanks for watching this video. I really appreciate your support. Have a great day, have a nice weekend, and see you later. Bye-bye now.